Okay, so you've probably seen it. This absolutely wild hashtag that just blew up online, leaving everyone kind of confused and, frankly, pretty mad. We're talking, of course, about hashtag SendBarron. And today, we're going to pull it apart and see what's really going on. It all kicked off with posts just like this. Super simple, super raw. OMG, please send Barron. You probably scrolled past it and were like, wait, send him where? What is this? It was designed to hit you like that. Abrupt, a little jarring, and for a lot of us, it was the first time we fell down this rabbit hole. But what if? What if you took it seriously? What if he was actually called to serve? It's a crazy question, right? But it's the one that gets right to the heart of this whole thing. So let's get past the memes and the outrage and actually look at the facts. That's exactly what we're here to do.
All right, let's start from square one. How did this thing actually explode onto our screens?
So in late February of 2026, boom, hashtag SendBarron was just everywhere. But it wasn't just the words. What really made it go viral were these crazy AI-generated images of Barron Trump, the former president's youngest son, decked out in military gear. We're talking full-on camouflage, combat scenes. The whole thing was meant to be shocking and to get a reaction. Now, this didn't just pop up out of nowhere. You've got to understand the context. The whole thing blew up during this fictional but super tense international crisis. Picture this. The US and Israel launched this Operation Epic Fury in Iran. Then news breaks that Iran's supreme leader is reportedly killed. So naturally, everyone's freaking out about a bigger war, maybe even a military draft. And right in the middle of all that, President Trump announces US casualties and says, sadly, there will likely be more. That single comment, man, it was like throwing gasoline on a bonfire. Okay, so here's the twist. The real origin of the hashtag, it's probably not what you think. This wasn't some organic movement that just bubbled up from angry citizens. Nope. It was sparked by a single, brilliantly designed satirical website, draftbarontrump.com. The guy behind it, Toby Morton, he used to write for South Park, which tells you a lot, he launched this site specifically to get people talking. He didn't create the anger, but he for sure gave it a target. And this website was pure satire. It's so important we're on the same page about what that means. Satire isn't just about making a joke. It's using humor, exaggeration, and irony to make a really sharp critique about what's happening in the world, especially in politics. And this quote from the site, it's perfect. Service is honor. Strength is inherited. Dog bless Barron. I mean, come on. It's completely over the top. It's pretending to be super patriotic, but that little typo at the end, dog bless, that's the wink. That's the creator telling you, hey, this is a joke, don't take it literally. This actually brings up a really important point, the difference between parody and satire. So a parody makes fun of the original thing, right? But satire, that's different. It uses something, or in this case, someone, as a tool to criticize society as a whole. So hashtag SendBarron wasn't really about Barron Trump the person. It was using the idea of him to get us all talking about war and privilege and who gets to make the big decisions. And that, my friends, is classic satire. Okay, so if this whole thing started as a joke from a satirical website, why did it hit so hard? Why did it feel so incredibly real to so many people? Well, the answer is simple. It tapped into a really powerful, really raw public feeling, the idea of shared sacrifice. Whenever there's talk of war, people start asking tough questions, right? Like, are the people in charge, the ones making these life and death calls, feeling the same risk? Does everyone really have skin in the game? And that question about a president's son serving in his father's war, why did that strike such a nerve? Well, to get that, we actually have to go back in time, way back. Which brings us to the history. This is the context that really gave the whole hashtag SendBarron satire its political bite. All right, look at this. During the Vietnam War, Donald Trump got 5 draft deferments. The first 4 were pretty standard. He was a student. But then in 1968, right after he graduated, he got a 1Y medical deferment for bone spurs, and that was the one that ultimately kept him out of the military for good. And those bone spurs, they've been a source of controversy for decades. Why? Because the doctor's own daughters later claimed he gave that diagnosis as a favor to the family. On top of that, Trump's former lawyer, Michael Cohen, flat out called it a lie to dodge the draft. So, you see, this history is the critical backstory you need to understand why the hashtag SendBarron thing blew up the way it did. So that's the history, the fuel for all that public anger. But it makes you wonder, what if we took the hashtag literally? Forget the satire for a second. Could Barron Trump actually be drafted or even enlist today? Okay, here's a fun fact most people have no idea about. The US military is really strict about physical requirements, and that includes a maximum height. For most branches, it's 6'8". And guess what? Barron Trump's reported height is 6'9". So, yeah, he's literally an inch too tall to meet the standard requirements. The whole idea is kind of a non-starter just based on that one little fact. And honestly, here's the much bigger reality check. The US has had an all-volunteer military since 1973. We don't have a draft anymore. To bring it back would take a literal act of Congress and the president signing off on it. I mean, can you imagine the political firestorm? So yeah, while young men still have to register for the Selective Service, a draft just isn't happening right now.
All right, so let's pull it all together. When you look at the big picture, what was the real point of this whole viral mess?
The main takeaway is this. The hashtag SendBarron trend was never, ever really about one guy. He just became a symbol. The whole thing was a viral flashpoint, a way to have a much bigger, much more uncomfortable conversation about privilege, about what it means to lead, and about the very real human cost of war. And that really leaves us with one last question to chew on. In this crazy age of memes, misinformation, and constant online noise, is satire, this sharp, provocative kind of satire, is it maybe our most powerful tool for real social criticism? It's definitely something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.